Right, guys, I'm putting you on to the greatest therapist, one of the greatest therapies you can ever do. That does not require any money or very limited financial help. And that is journaling. And I know what you might say, that sounds like very general advice that a lot of people on the internet, self-help people on the internet, give. And I will agree with you that when everyone says journaling, immediately you might think of, well, you have a notebook, right? You have a pen, and maybe you write some prompts, you write something, some affirmations, you manifest. But even beyond that, I think there comes a point in journaling where if you look a little bit into the reason for some of your negative emotions, the reason behind it, then you can really uncover something quite interesting. This is actually called shadow work, but that can be a little bit scary when you first start doing it. That I truly believe that beyond therapy, the only person who can help you is yourself. You can go to all of the therapists that you want, talk with all the people that you want, but the truth is, at the end of the day, you have you, and you are responsible for healing yourself and for making yourself a better person, which will ultimately help our society grow. And on journaling, I do not have any particular prompts that I use. Of course, there are plenty of prompts. You can look at shadow work, inner child work. There is also, you can look at methods to manifest, But I think also the great thing about journaling is you can start to understand your why, your reasoning behind the ambition. Because when it comes to manifestation, for example, people have certain goals, certain aspirations, and there's nothing wrong with that. The material realm is the reflection of your inner world. For example, people might have the goal, very common one, to become a millionaire, to have a lot of money, be financially free. And then if you can really understand the why, then suddenly the how is a little bit more clear. But even beyond journaling, at some point, when you do the work, the inner work, to understand your inner world, journaling becomes less about the inner world, but more about your actions. Once I finally hit a little bit of a milestone where I understood exactly what the emotion was, I labeled it, and then I simply allowed it to exist, releasing it. Once I understood that, that's when everything changed, and that's when I could focus on that which I needed to do on a daily basis in order to achieve the returns that I want from life, in order to achieve those things that essentially I was manifesting. And then you can ask yourself what you can do this day to start moving towards that goal and being that person, even if it is the tiniest thing. And for a while, my overthinking was stopping me, and my lack of I was not doing the dirty work. I was not doing shadow work. And so when I did the shadow work, when I finally released the negative emotions, and when I finally just was a person, that's when everything shifted in my favor. That's when shadow work allowed me, that's how I say that shadow work allowed me to become that which I've always needed to become. I think the other thing that journaling does is it brings us closer to the universal truth of life. This universal peace that exists within all of us and is attainable for all of us, of just allowing ourselves to be without comparison on our own road. And in some ways, whatever you believe in, it brings us closer to God. Whatever you believe God is. But I do have to say that journaling is something that allows us to become at peace with ourselves, our flaws as people. And I think if you are watching this, I want you to know that the peace you are looking for is already within you. It is attained within you. And it is possible for everyone. I truly believe. I understand that everyone's journeys are different. Everyone's steps towards that peace is different. But it is very much possible.